Welcome to our channel. Let's begin the journey.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the heart of reactor physics, and we're going to demystify some pretty complex math by following a single, microscopic particle on a surprisingly high-stakes journey. Think about it for a second. What does it actually take for a newly born neutron to survive the environment of a reactor core and successfully sustain a nuclear chain reaction? It is literally an obstacle course, and predicting the success of that journey is the entire basis of reactor physics. If we want to know how to keep a reactor running perfectly, well, we have to track the life cycle of its neutrons. Now, we do have a lot of ground to cover, and yeah, a few Greek letters ahead, but here is our roadmap for this neutron's journey. Criticality and neutron balance, the fast fission factor, escaping leakage and resonance, thermal utilization in the core, reproduction and the 6 factors, and finally, reactivity and reactor control.
Okay, Section 1, Criticality and Neutron Balance.
Before we zoom all the way in to track a single particle, we really need to understand the ultimate goal of the entire system. And the absolute most crucial concept here is understanding K, the effective multiplication factor. You can think of K as the ratio of the number of neutrons in one generation compared to the generation right before it. Imagine a chain reaction, where the active fission is the event that separates those generations. This one single number tells us everything. It determines if our overall neutron population is growing, shrinking, or staying perfectly balanced. Because of that, K literally dictates the state of our entire reactor. If K is less than 1, we're in a subcritical state. The power is decreasing because we're basically losing neutrons faster than we can make them. If K is greater than 1, we're supercritical, and the chain reaction and the power is ramping up. But when K equals exactly 1, the reactor is critical. Now, I know critical sounds like a terrifying word in the movies, but in nuclear engineering, it means perfection. It means our reactor is operating steadily at a constant power, neither gaining nor losing free neutrons. To figure out that balance, we use the 6-factor formula. You'll see how K is calculated by multiplying 6 very distinct probabilities and yields together: epsilon, P, F, eta, and the 2 non-leakage probabilities P, F, and L, and P, T, and L. We also have a simplified version, the 4-factor formula, or K infinity, which assumes an infinite reactor. But we'll get to that. Let's break down exactly what these terms mean for a neutron just trying to survive. Section 2, the fast fission factor, the starting line. So our journey officially begins with the fast fission factor, which we denote with the Greek letter epsilon. The cycle kicks off with fast neutrons produced by the thermal fission of isotopes like uranium-235. And these newly born neutrons are moving at mind-boggling speeds, often over 10,000 miles per second. Now, right as they're born, some of these highly energetic neutrons just absolutely smash into uranium-238 and cause more fast fission right away. It's like a little bonus multiplier right out of the gate. Epsilon represents our original neutrons plus the small bonus of fast neutrons. Our population is already getting a slight bump. Section 3, escaping leakage and resonance. Now the gauntlet really begins. Our first major physical hurdle is the fast non-leakage factor, or PF. Because these fast neutrons have relatively long mean-free paths, meaning they can travel a centimeter or more between collisions, they're moving so fast that they might just shoot straight out of the reactor core entirely. Poof, gone. So PF is simply the probability that our fast-moving neutron manages to stay inside the core and doesn't just leak out into the surrounding shielding. Okay, so let's assume it didn't fly out. Great. Now it has to slow down, or thermalize, to actually be useful for the main chain reaction. But as it hits the brakes and drops into what we call the epithermal energy range, it enters a very dangerous neighborhood. It risks being swallowed by uranium-238 or plutonium-240 resonances. If you look at the absorption spikes at specific energies, those are essentially traps. The resonance escape probability, P, measures the exact chance that our neutron successfully navigates past these massive resonance traps without getting absorbed. Section 4, thermal utilization in the core. Our surviving neutrons have successfully slowed down to thermal energies, but the danger isn't over yet. Even as a slow, sluggish thermal neutron, it can still wander a bit too close to the edge and leak out of the core. We represent this threat with the thermal non-leakage factor, PT. It's just the probability that our slow neutron actually stays inside the reactor boundaries long enough to do its job. So, if it doesn't leak out, it's going to get absorbed by something. But here's the catch. We specifically need it to be absorbed in the fuel to keep this chain reaction going.
A reactor core is packed with other stuff: construction metals, water, dissolved boron, and control rods. The thermal utilization factor, F, is the fraction of our thermal neutrons that actually hit the fuel, completely excluding all those wasted neutrons soaked up by the other materials.
Section 5, Reproduction and the 6 Factors.
We've reached the final stage of the life cycle. Eta gives us the payoff. Not every neutron that gets absorbed in the fuel actually causes the atom to split. Some just get captured. So the neutron yield per absorption, eta, answers the ultimate question. For every thermal neutron that successfully ran the entire gauntlet and was absorbed in the fuel, how many new fast neutrons are born? This is the final multiplier. It closes the loop and starts the cycle all over again.
So let's tie this math together. We have 2 ways to look at this. The 4-factor formula, or K infinity, looks at an idealized infinite reactor. An infinite reactor has no physical edges, which means literally 0 leakage. So you only need 4 factors: eta, F, epsilon, and P. But obviously, we don't build infinite reactors. Real-world engineers build finite reactors, where fast and thermal leakage are absolutely a reality. So to truly predict if a real-world reactor will run, we have to use the full 6-factor formula to find K.
Section 6, Reactivity and Reactor Control. Let's bring this all back to the real world.
What does this abstract microscopic math actually look like in a plant's control room? Well, when K equals exactly 1, reactivity, which we call rho, is completely 0. Our reactor operates safely at a constant power. It doesn't fluctuate. But if K drops below 1, reactivity becomes negative. Our neutron population shrinks and power plummets. In the control room, operators are actively manipulating this. By moving control rods or tweaking the boron concentration, they adjust the thermal utilization factor, which changes K, which controls the entire power output of the plant.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. If manipulating just one of these 6 factors changes the fate of billions of neutrons in a fraction of a second, what kind of absolute pinpoint precision is required to operate the reactors powering our future? Understanding this life cycle isn't just a math exercise, it's about mastering one of the fundamental forces of nature. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.
The view from here is breathtaking. Command, we are in position and ready for the next phase. If you liked the video, subscribe and comment the topic you want next. Thanks for watching, and stay unstoppable.